when we stand side by side? How can the same moment bend so differently inside your chest and mine? Like distant stars shifting with a small change in angle. If you say you are fine while your jaw clenches, why do I trust your words more than the trembling frequency in the room between us? When did I decide other people's versions of reality were automatically more accurate than the trembling compass spinning behind my ribs? If I notice something is wrong, still stay silent. Am I protecting the peace or protecting my fear of being told I am overreacting again? Why does my heart race whenever I consider saying from where I stand this hurts, as though naming my experience might erase yours completely? When you remember events differently, why do I immediately abandon my memory and move into yours like a guest desperate not to be inconvenient? If my truth and your truth can coexist, why do I still feel like I must evict mine to make room for yours? When you ask what I need, why do I answer with what would be easiest for you to offer instead of what would actually soothe me? If I trusted my own perspective as much as I study yours, how would our orbit shift, and would distance really be the only possible outcome? When I finally say this is how it feels from here, will you walk closer to share the view, or turn away from the unfamiliar horizon? When every story we have lived together fades into background noise, what stubborn version of myself remains, still standing after the applause and the heartbreak both quiet down? If I strip away the roles I played for you, the poses I practiced, the lines I thought you wanted to hear, who is left blinking in the sudden light? When did I start believing that loving someone meant erasing myself until only their preferences, their rhythms, their reflection filled the entire frame? If I choose now to stay, can I do without abandoning the small, steady voice that kept tugging at my sleeve, asking not to be forgotten? Why does it feel almost rebellious to say I want you here, but I will not vanish this time? When you search my face for answers, will you notice the new firmness in my gaze, the softened war inside my chest? If you decide this version of me is too much, too honest, too unwilling to bend, will the loss break me, or finally prove I can survive myself? When I look back at everything we have weathered, can I see not only the wounds but also the ways I learned to hold my own shaking hands? If I meet my reflection tomorrow and she does not apologize for existing, will I recognize her, or will she have to introduce herself slowly? When I ask, can I stay with me no matter who When you stop talking and let the air thicken, why does my mind sprint through every possible mistake instead of learning to sit quietly beside your unspoken storms? If silence was not always punishment, could it ever become a resting place where I do not have to earn my right to exist with constant performance? When did I decide that every pause between us needed to be filled with my explanations, my apologies, my frantic jokes to keep the darkness entertained? If I asked you what your quiet actually means, would you tell me? Or have I been too busy panicking to notice the language of your breathing? Why do I treat your stillness like a mirror for my fears instead of a window into your own tender, wordless terrain? When you retreat into yourself, must I follow and lose my footing? Or am I allowed to remain anchored in my own center while still reaching toward you? If I learn to say I feel scared when it gets this quiet without blaming you, it's something between us. Soften when I do not hear from you for a day. Why do I assume it is about my lack instead of your exhaustion, your life, your humanness? If I stopped interrogating your silence and started asking my own heartbeat what it needs, what answer would surprise me most? When we finally breathe together without rushing to fill the gaps, will I recognize the sound of peace or mistake it again for abandonment? When you are gone and the room quiets, why do your gestures replay on the walls like a film? I cannot pause while my own outline stays blurry and unfinished. If I know the shape of your worries better than the curve of my own breathing, when did I decide your inner world was safer ground than mine? Why does your shadow feel clearer than my reflection, as though standing behind you is the only way I know how to exist without disappearing? When you say you need space, do I hear an invitation for both that being chosen by you was more important than being chosen by the quiet voice inside my chest. If I step slightly away and try to walk beside my own shadow for once, would you chase after me? Or would I discover I can hold my own hand? Why does that possibility scare me almost as much as losing you does? When your name lights up my phone, why does my mood swing farther than any weather system? As if I handed you the remote for my entire sky. If I reclaimed even a fragment of that power, would you feel rejected? Or would we both finally be able to meet as whole people instead of reflections? When I turn off every lamp and sit with only the glow from my screen, am I hiding from you or from the reflection it throws back at me? If I scroll through strangers' faces and compare every angle to my own, why does my worth feel like an algorithm I can never quite satisfy? When did I decide that being lovable meant being flawless? And who convinced me that softness, scars, and shaky confidence were glitches instead of proof of being alive? If you call me beautiful, why do I instinctively flip the compliment around, searching for hidden motives instead of letting the light land where you aimed it? Why is it so much easier to spot tenderness in your features, resilience in your posture, than to recognize any of that in my own? When I catch my eyes in the darkened window, why do I look away faster than when I see a stranger crying on a crowded train? If I learn to ask myself, what if I am not as unworthy as I have believed? Would everything I built on self-doubt collapse or transform? When your messages slow down, why do I assume it is because you finally saw what I see on my worst days? If I reversed the light and held it up to my own face, could I survive the intensity of seeing myself without distortion? When I whisper, maybe I deserve gentleness too. Whose voice answers back, yours or mine, finally returning from exile? When something between us hurts, why is my first instinct to gather every shard and crown myself with them, like a halo made entirely of blame? If you are quiet, do I immediately assume I have failed again? Replaying every conversation to hunt for the sentence that secretly ruined everything. When did I learn that taking responsibility for every crack was safer than waiting to see whether you might hurt me on purpose? If I apologize before you even speak, am I Why do I forgive you faster than I forgive myself? As though my mistakes are evidence of unlovability, while yours are just passing weather. When you reach for my hand after an argument, why do I ask if you are sure instead of asking whether I am also allowed to be human here? If I drop the reflex to say it is my fault, what empty space would open? And whose truth would echo first across that distance? Why does it feel rebellious to imagine that not everything broken is my doing? That sometimes two people simply collide at the wrong angle. When you say it is not all on you, why do I nod politely while secretly tightening the weight around my own neck? If I finally place some of that weight back on the floor between us, would you help me examine it? Or quietly step over it and leave? When you call me by my name, why does it feel like you are trying on a coat that never quite fit right around my shoulders? If every nickname you invent sounds sweeter than the syllables on my passport, does that mean I have been living slightly beside myself all this time? When did I start bending my voice to match your rhythm, softening my edges so your comfort would not trip over them? If I laugh at things that bruise me, am I choosing harmony over honesty, or just afraid you will walk away if I sound too real? Why do I keep asking you what you think of me, as if your answer could rewrite the history carved under my skin? When you say I am kind, do you see the parts of me that get angry, jealous, tired, or do I hide them so well even I forget? If I peel back every performance, would there be anything left you recognize? Or would you meet a stranger wearing my tired eyes? Why does it terrify me to imagine you preferring that stranger to the version I constructed carefully just for you? When I stand in front of the door before seeing you, why do I rehearse the right amount of softness, the right volume of need? If I chose to say this is me, even when I am not easy, would your gaze harden, or would my own finally soften first? When I rush to fix your sadness, am I rescuing you, or trying to drown out the echo of my own unfinished grief bouncing inside my chest? If I only feel valuable when you are falling apart, what does that say about the way I have measured love since I was too young to name it? Why do I keep asking whether you need me, when what I really mean is, will you still see me? If you know not because I care, or because your trembling confessions distract me from my unanswered questions about myself. If I disappear into your problems, is it devotion or avoidance dressed up as devotion? So I never have to sit alone with my reflection. Why does your pain feel easier to hold than my own? As if my heart only knows how to beat for somebody else. When you look at me with gratitude, am I basking in your light, or chasing a version of worthiness that dissolves the second you stop thanking me? If I stopped asking what you needed and asked myself instead, would I find anything but static in a voice that does not trust its own desires? Why do I keep rehearsing this sentence? What about me yet swallow it every single time? If I finally admit that I am hiding inside your eyes, would the room go quiet, or would I finally hear my own name clearly? When did your voice start sounding like mine? And why do I hear my oldest fears hiding between the vowels when you say my name so gently? If your hand brushes my shoulder and I flinch, am I recoiling from you, or from the memory of every time I was touched then left? Why do your compliments feel like they are tracing fault lines instead of blessings, mapping out where I already expect myself to eventually break? When you ask if I am okay, why do I answer with another question, as though truth will hurt less if it comes wrapped in doubt? If I am always scanning your face for the slightest shadow, does it mean I am addicted to the possibility of being abandoned? When did I learn to read every silence as a verdict? Every pause is proof that I have failed some invisible test again. If I keep smiling so you do not worry, am I protecting you from my heaviness, or protecting myself from the risk of being fully seen? Why does it feel easier to believe I am broken than to believe you might actually be choosing me, cracks and all, on purpose? When you say you are not going anywhere, why does my heart still pack its bags in secret? If I stop pretending and let the fracture in my confidence show, would you step closer to understand me, or quietly step back to save yourself? When I look at you, am I actually seeing your outline? or the unfinished sketch of myself I keep hiding behind casual questions and half-bright smiles. When your eyes search my face, are you checking whether I am still here, or testing if the surface will crack and finally tell the truth? Why does every often word you drop echo like a stone in water, circling out until it touches something fragile I swore I buried years ago? If I flinch at your kindness, does it mean I only recognize love when it arrives sharpened like a blade? When you laugh, why do I measure my worth in the distance between your dimples and my trembling breath? Across the table, am I reaching for your warmth or for proof that I am not completely untouchable? If I keep asking whether you will stay, am I really begging you or begging myself to stop rehearsing my disappearance? When your gaze softens, why does my chest tighten, as if some hidden version of me is afraid of being dragged into the light? If I finally admit that I have been using you to define my own outline, will everything between us shatter or quietly realign into something real?